Oh. Yeah. Okay. All right. Welcome to this very scientific exploration of what is better. Is it bouldering or is it lead climbing? This presentation is from the morning assembly at Rama. So if you missed it, you are in luck today. Fear not, for I believe that groundbreaking science deserves to be shared. Obviously, this is groundbreaking science. So I'm going to walk you through my very, very scientific research. First of all, what is the difference? So, bouldering, there is no rope. The walls are a maximum of 5 meters tall, and there are mattresses on the grounds, so you can always jump down. However, when you climb lead, you need a rope. The walls are very tall. You need a lot of extra gear, for example, harnesses, and you can't just jump down because you would die. Um, Obviously, right now we're ignoring the fact that usually you are spotted by someone who, like, yeah, you are held up by rope for a reason, and the other person is down on the ground. We're gonna ignore that for now, because if you jumped down without that person, you would probably die. Moving on. Therefore, this is my presentation about why bouldering is better than rope climbing, and it is very scientific. Good. First point is about jumping down. Look at these nice, soft mattresses. This is a bouldering hall. Um, if you like wanted to jump down from any point in this bouldering hall, even the tallest points, um, you would not die. In fact, it almost even looks sort of comfortable. This lady who's climbing on this picture right here, I'm not scared for her life at all, actually. Look at the other lady sitting down there. She's also very relaxed. And so am I when I'm looking at this picture. The same with this lady, who's even like, she's hanging quite a few meters up in the air as well. Like, looks like, you know, if there was like floor, it maybe wouldn't be so nice. But since there are mattresses, she can fall down without worrying. This sport is so good, even children can do it. And again, we're ignoring the fact that children can also climb lead without getting hurt. So, moving on. However, if you climb lead, you can sometimes be very, very far up in the air. If you were to jump down from this height, you could break bones, get fractures, and that would hurt a lot. And this is without even acknowledging the fact that you could, in fact, fall down and die. This is a very real risk that I think is important to remember. Moving on to my next point, which is about breaks. So bouldering obviously has shorter walls, which also means it has shorter routes, usually, than lead climbing, because lead climbing has taller walls, so one route is longer. Yeah, this is very, and this is where some people like might get lost on the science. But I assure you, I will carry you through. A shorter route means you can take more frequent breaks. You can have a go at the route and then rest. And a route, by the way, is also called a problem. So you can have a go at a problem, and then you can take a rest. Um, and also, if you want to try again, you don't have to wait an eternity for someone else to climb the route and try their best and maybe even finish it. This is, of course, only if you're climbing the same route. Um, Generally speaking, lead tends to be very tiring because the route is longer, which also means you get more exhausted, and which also means you can't have as many tries at one problem. And this is where the very important science behind all of this comes in. This is brain science, and science behind brains has shown that brains thrive with short, frequent breaks. So obviously, bouldering would lead to a smarter and also bigger brain. Here are a couple more reasons why shorter routes are better. They tend to be more problem oriented, and by that I mean like focusing on a couple of things at a time instead of a lot of things at a time. And this is good because practicing a couple of things focuses your practice, and again gives you shorter tries, and therefore also more frequent breaks. And since it's not as tiring because the routes are shorter, you can try more times, and you can easily climb to a difficult area on the problem and try again. You don't have to start from the beginning and do the problem the exact way it's meant to be done. You can just climb up to the place, and then try again. And I do not know how you do this when you lead climb. How do you do it? Are you hoisted up? That sounds very embarrassing, to be honest. Or do you if you just want to try that exact place on the lead route, you can't just climb up because you could fall down and die. So obviously that is bad. So which also means that the bouldering is better. Moving on. As everyone knows, more equals better. And by this, I don't mean more as in longer more. I mean it as in a larger number of different things more. So the same, this is very scientific, so I need to get my brain straight. The same amount of wall can hold more boulders than lead routes. So if you have a boulder wall, the same area of wall, you get what I mean. Because one route is long and another route is short. This also means that you can go window shopping when you boulder more easily. Because when I boulder, I can look at a problem and I can identify approximately what type of boulder it is. And by that I mean I can figure out what types of techniques I would practice if I tried to do this boulder. I can see, this is a boulder where I get stronger. This is a boulder where I practice my foot technique. But if I look at a lead route, everything, there are so many different things to look at that my brain, I can't window shop. I can't say this is what I want to practice. So I'm going to choose a short thing that practices this. You have to, again, we're back at the hoisting problem. Um, Another really good thing about bouldering is if something is too difficult, you can just try something else and you're not stuck 10 meters up in the air with the risk of falling and dying. Moving on to instant gratification. Um, so this now we're moving into I feel a musician specific territory. Um, when I One of the things that really appealed to me about bouldering is that it or some of the things are that it has a clear beginning and end. It has very tangible goals. It's very satisfying when you send a boulder, and to send a boulder means to clear it. Like you're done with the problem. Um, and there are very very clear ways to see your own improvement because you try more difficult routes. So, for example, in boulders, which is the chain of bouldering halls that I usually climb at, you have like a color system. So when I move from one color, for example, when I move from blue to climbing the purple boulders, I know that I have become a better climber. Um, and that is very satisfying and very good for my brain compared to my ordinary practice. So, moving into my ordinary practice, there is no clear beginning and end. I have many vague goals. Um, I also need to make artistic choices. And there is very rarely a very clear and satisfying proof of my improvement. Obviously, there are still techniques in bouldering as there are in music, but these small middle goals, uh, especially because they are shorter and smaller, make it a more, yeah, in general, just a more gratifying experience overall when to boulder, in my humble opinion. I feel more satisfied more often. Moving on. One of the most common arguments that I have heard from people who lead climb is that lead climbing is better because you practice endurance. However, I have to say, bouldering. Oh, I actually spelled that wrong. Oops. Bouldering can also be endurance. You can also practice endurance when you boulder. Uh, that's all about how you do it. I'm not gonna go into that right now, but just trust me. But also my most important point to this like endurance thing is, or my most important counter argument is that I endure enough. I endure things all the time, especially when it comes to my musical practice. I don't need to endure more things. Thank you very much. Moving on. um, when we compare bouldering and lead climbing again, we can also take a look at like how you get started. Um, I generally very firmly believe that it is just too much work to get started when you lead climb. When I go bouldering, I can, if I'm wearing my sports clothes, I can bring my shoes and I can bring my chalk and I can just get started. I can walk up to the wall and I can start climbing. A footnote here is that you should always warm up, obviously. Another good thing about bouldering is that you can always go alone. Personally, I don't go climbing alone, and that's a preference. That's just a me thing. I know plenty of people who like to go alone, and you know, as the climbing community in general, that's in both lead and bouldering. You easily make a lot of friends. So that's just me. That's a me thing. I can't go alone, but people do go alone. So that's like there's a lot of independence in bouldering. However, when you lead climb, you have to put on a harness, sometimes even a helmet. You have to handle rope. You need like a million of those. What are they called? Kabinhe. I don't know what they're called in English. And it's also best to go with someone because otherwise you could die. If you don't go lead climbing with someone else, you don't have anyone to spot you. So you could fall down and die. And we'll get back to the harnesses later. Because I have something else to say to them. And I don't need any more gear. I already have enough gear. I don't need to also keep a million ropes and kabinhair and a harness and all that shit. I have enough. Thank you. Moving on. Rope? No thanks. Rope? It gets tangled? Do you just have rope everywhere? Also, I don't need more cables in my life. I roll enough cables. I don't want to also roll rope. Yes. And I'm not scared of heights. I promise I'm not. But when you climb lead, your life is in someone else's hands. Literally. What if they fuck up? Then you're dead. You die. You fall down and you break all of your legs and you die. And that leads me to my very worst nightmare. I don't weigh a lot. And people, when they climb, they get very buff. I have been climbing for 4 years now. I still weigh nothing. I am scared of spotting someone else. I'm scared of being the blue guy in this picture that by the way, I drew myself. Yes, I know I'm very artistic. I am scared of being the blue guy. I'm spotting someone else. They fall down and they die. And I get hoisted up in the air with no way to get down because they weigh more than me. And I am not shitting you. I have a friend who weighs a lot more than the person who spotted him. And when he fell, she was hoisted 1 to 2 meters up in the air, but they didn't get hurt. But she was hoisted up in the air from his weight, and she was not tied to the floor. And that is actually a true story. That's a true story. That's my worst nightmare. No, thank you. Moving on. Is lead climbing unnecessarily sexual? In case you haven't noticed, climbing harnesses look a lot like bondage gear. And I know for some people this might be a bonus. This might be something that they think is cool and good and great, and that's good for them. To be honest, I don't have a strong personal preference on this. Also, like in bondage, you obviously also use rope and stuff. But I personally would probably rather not wear bondage gear when exercising. So yeah, that's just a me thing though. But to those people who consider this a bonus, to those people I say, have you considered that historically rope has been used for capital punishment? Historically, criminals have been hanged on a street for medieval people to come and see. And personally, I would just rather not have that historical burden on my sport. So, in summary and conclusion, bouldering is better and lead is less good. And actually, I would almost say actively bad. When you boulder, you can always jump down. The breaks are better and good for your brain. You can easily climb to a difficult area and try many times. You can choose your own exhaustion level. It's easy to get started. There are tangible goals. You have independence and safety. And there is no bondage gear. And that's like, there's a question mark because, you know, obviously, choose your, like, yeah, whatever floats your boat. And bouldering also has no problematic history of death. Lead, however, is a sport where you can't just jump down because there's a higher risk of death. Your breaks are worse. It's worse for your brain so you can't remember your moves because there are too many different moves to do. You need to be hoisted up to practice a certain place on the route. Obviously, that's also ego death. You also need to wait an eternity to try the problem again. It's too exhausting. There's too much gear. Your literal life is in someone else's hands. And then again, bondage gear as a point because whatever floats your boat, you can have your own opinion on this. And also it has a history of death. Which means, obviously, that bouldering wins and lead climbing loses. Thank you for watching this entire very scientific video. Shout out to my friend Christian, who couldn't be there at the morning assembly, and he was very sad about it. And also shout out to my friend Anton, who does not attend the academy, but he is a lead climber, and he's currently in Japan. I hope that you have changed your mind because of my very scientific science. Thank you.